Alright guys, this is the Valaverse Action Force Vanguard Resvani 1/12 scale. I don't know if it's like a Jeep type vehicle, SUV, soccer mom car, or whatever you want to call it. Excuse me. I was going to go hog wild on this and put all kinds of gear hanging off it and stuff. But the more I put on it, the more it just didn't fit. It just made it look like a soccer mom car with a bunch of military crap thrown on it. I was going to do it anyway and have it appear to be like a post-apocalyptic type of vehicle with weathering and dirt and stuff on it, just to make that gear seem logical, that they found this vehicle and just used it because that's all they had. But the more I started putting the stuff on it and reconfiguring it, looking at it, it just didn't fit right. So I just left it as is. I do have 3 different turret systems here. I'm going to go over those first and show you the changes I made on that. Hopefully I can keep everything in focus. I got everything on a tripod here. But I may stop the video to swap stuff out and show you what's going on. We'll go over the one that's already on the vehicle. So let's see if we can get up there. Alright, so this, I'm not sure if you can tell, but if you look at the roof line, you can see that it's not as big as it once was. The one that was there looked way too big for me on the vehicle. That, you know, if this thing's shooting rockets, yeah, it's going to be rocking the vehicle. It's going to high side the vehicle with the weight. You know, if you're trying to off-road with it, it just didn't fit right for me. It honestly looked kind of stupid. But as you can see here, I left the functionality of it. The missiles still fit where they need to. They come to about here, and whenever you put them in the back, they come to about here. So I did take a big chunk out of the middle so that these rockets still fit. Now I've been around real stuff like this. I am in the military, and you know that rocket's only that big, so you shouldn't have it in something that large. I really couldn't shrink it anymore because of the mount that's in the middle, but I do think this size works rather well. But yeah, that missile's only about that big. If you put it in the back, it sits about that far, where if you're going to put that missile in there, it should be roughly about that big. They're not much bigger than the rocket that they hold. But this still does function the way it's supposed to. The rockets come in and out. But you can see I could have did a little better job of putting everything back together. But I'm in a time crunch because I'm about to leave this weekend on a 3-week business trip. So I wanted to get this done and out of the way. I put a little light weathering on it. You can kind of see, just to knock down some of the shine. I was going to do it all flat black, but the flat black I had decided it did not want to spray, so it is what it is. But like I said, the missiles do come out. Oop, gotta get it on camera. Where are we at? I don't know. I'm thoroughly screwing this up, but you can see about how long the missiles are. And then when you put it in the back, it's about the same distance. So it is a little bit too big for the missiles. If I can get it in focus here. Yeah, there you go, idiot. That works better. So like I said, everything still functions the way it's supposed to. I just shrunk it down. Here's, kicking the camera, here is the chunk I took out of the middle. So it's a good bit, probably 1.5 inches going on 2 inches that I cut out of the middle here, and then just glued it back on, put some filler in there. Alright, so let's put that to the side. We'll do this one. This gun I really do not like. You got a super realistic vehicle with these cannons that just look completely made up. I know this world is supposed to be, you know, a few years in the future, but the design of this weapon is 100 years in the past, and it just does not look right. So I'm going to use it as an autocannon. It does go in the vehicle, it still turns, does all that crap. I did not do anything to the base other than drill a hole in it. Added that, that little stand right there that the gun plugs into, so I can't actually detach this gun if I want to. I did modify it so you can see it does pivot now like it should have, and simple fix for that. It took me not even 5 minutes to make that function, and you can see it holds its position. It's not floppy at all. Well, somewhat, but does what it needs to do. It sits in there. If I were to plug it in, just fine, but you can see how that looks. So for me, that's just an autocannon that they can control from the inside. I have been around real ones like that in when I was in an EOD truck in my last deployment. So they are a real thing. They are pretty cool. So let's go on to the other turret. So this one, before I plug it in, I'll just give you a rundown. So you can see here, I did put glass in all the holes, and I kind of weathered them up because I've never been in a turret with glass that wasn't scratched or some kind of sun faded. So that is all the way around. This gridiron minigun does pivot, so you can see it does turn. And all I did was took the stock mount that was in there and just bored that out to fit the peg from the gridiron one. I cut the mount off of this and glued that onto the side. Does not hurt the functionality at all with that. This is the 240 mount that obviously clips on the side, or you can put back in the trunk. I use this as a antenna base and ran some wires in there so it looks semi-real. Doesn't go anywhere, it's just glued to the bottom. But I thought that was a neat way to use that mount that I no longer have any use for, so I want to reuse that. Put that back on there, so we can just leave that on there and get a full view here. So I thought that turned out pretty well. Zoom in. Sorry, I am not a photographer. Bear with me. So there you go. It's kind of hard to put that in there and not make the gun noises. So that's that. So we'll just start with what I did on the, well, we can do the inside because there's not really much in here that I did. When I had the dash out, I did paint the top in a gloss black because I just wanted to change it up a little bit. And the display screen on the inside, I did paint that gloss black just to give that some difference. I was going to do a bunch of stuff on the inside, change some things around, but in the end I was like, nobody's really going to see it. I'm never really going to care about it, and I didn't really want to do it and take the time on it just to say I did it. So that's basically the inside for the front of the cab. I have made some changes into the back. I don't have a Lazy Susan big enough to rotate this, So I'm just going to pick it up and turn it. So when we get to the back, I'll show you that. But on the sides, you can see that I took this running boards off. I think you can see that. But I took the running boards off, and that handle bar that was on the top up here, I relocated down here as a rock slider, so when they're off-roading, he's not going to bang up the side of his truck. Let me see if I can pick this up. See what I'm saying? I know some off-road vehicles have them. They typically run the whole length of the vehicle. I didn't want to make one. I wanted to reuse that for something. I wanted to reuse as many of the original parts as I could in different places. So that is on both sides. I was originally going to repaint this. No need to really get into that. That would have taken care of the holes that are in here. I did fill in the holes where this pegged into. So I filled in the holes, and I was going to repaint that, and it was going to hide it, and I was originally going to put a light bar across the front, but I decided to use these pieces I have. Let me see if I can show you. You probably can't tell, but it is chromed out on the inside to make it look like a spotlight. So that's back in frame. So they are my spotlights to hide the holes that were there, because I didn't end up repainting it. I would have probably have taken these four, put them in the front, or made something different. Really wasn't sure, but I use these a lot on vehicles because they work out pretty cool. So these obviously face forward, these face off to the side, so you're getting all your coverage. I was going to mount some back here in the back, just for shits and giggles. So they did have some rear facing light, but hey, nobody sneaks up on these guys, so they don't need to. What else we got here? So you eagle eye guys would probably notice, let's get down a little bit, zoom in a hair, my wheel well gaps are significantly larger. There is an offset lift in the front and the rear, but I wanted to keep it as level as possible, because this is an off-road vehicle. This thing's going places to kick some ass. It doesn't need a stock lowered ride height, like you're taking the kids to soccer practice. So I wanted to put a lift on this. I do like doing this to my GP type vehicles that I make, if it's possible. This was possible, super easy to do. The only thing that was hard is there's 2 screws in each wheel well that are nearly impossible to get out. I got 6 of the 8 out. These back 2 on both sides would not come out, so I literally just grabbed it, pulled it apart. It did break a little bit in here, but you can't see it, and I really don't care. So I did put a lift on it. I think it looks more substantial. I don't have another one for a size comparison. I did not take any pre-pictures like I normally do. But if you're looking at this video, you know what a Vanguard looks like. I guess we'll check out the ass end on this thing. Work my way around. Are we in view here? Yes. So nothing really changed back here other than I did take these out, and you can kind of see I painted chrome in here just to give them some shininess, something to pop out. So the back still opens and functions normally. The 240 does swing out, does everything. This keeps falling off, which pisses me off, but it does swing out, do what it has to do. Don't let it sits in there like that, whatever the hell. So that still works. It is removable. Let me get the gun out of here, spare bullets, and let me take you on a trip inside. I don't know if you can really tell or see, but I did raise this post so that when it swings, it does swing out over this edge. I was going to cut this out. Oop, back in frame here. I was going to cut this out and hinge this so it folds down. I thought that would be really cool, a little different, but time constraints, I didn't get around to it. But what I did do, and you really can't tell too much, is the floor. The floor I lowered maybe ½ inch or so, which works out real well. I don't know if I can get this dude in there. Let me put you back down here. Cram this guy in here. He does have to get in some kind of yoga pose to get in there. But as you can see, he sits a lot lower. So it's not like his head's jammed up in the ceiling like it was before. He fits in there just fine. Front to back is still the same distance, it's just been lowered. So the bottom has been dropped down. If I had the bumper off, you would see the floor actually sits like right about below the Rizvani line. And I like that a lot better. That was super easy to do. Unbelievably easy modification to this thing. Let me back this up. But yeah, it was something I wanted to do so it didn't look like the guy was crammed in there. I know what it's like to be crammed into the back of a Humvee. I'm 6'6", all geared up. It is not comfortable. So I wanted to give the dude some room. And also, if I want to store things back there, I got a lot more room to put crates, backpacks, whatever I want. I could throw a dog back in there and be pretty comfortable. Now I thought about it, I should have grabbed the dog. That would have been kind of cool. But anyway, that's that. So zoom out here, and we'll flip it around to the other side. There's not much difference on the other side. I was going to relocate this shovel anywhere else than there. I don't like just one solo thing there. I would have balanced it out with something on the other side. But if I took this off, then I'd have to fill those holes in, and then it's like, well, to hide those, I either have to repaint the whole thing or mount something else there, and I didn't want anything mounted there anyway, so I just left that thing. Like I said, the inside's the same, that's the same, those are the same. Nothing really different on this side. Now the front I did change up quite a bit. Alright, so let's see. I think the camera's a little crooked, but you get it. So in the front, what you'll notice is, let me raise this up. The mounts for the winch, so I can zoom in. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but I did fill those in like I did the turret glass, and I painted those translucent yellow, so those are just kind of like fog lights. I could have cut that piece off, but I figured, hey, that's a good place for some lights. You can see here I put a filler panel in here so that when you're looking at it you don't see a gap in the front from the lift. There is a slight gap in the rear. It's harder to see, but who looks at the back? I really didn't feel like dealing with it. So the bumper is stock, but as you can see, if I can get my camera to go, I did put the winch inset in the bumper. If I can keep it in the light. So basically just cut a hole in the bumper, stuck it in there, and glued it. The license plate that was in there, I just cut that out, glued that onto the front of the winch. The edges are trimmed a little bit, but you still know what it is. Winch still functions like it's supposed to. Nothing changed on the winch. These knobs are too small for my big fingers. Nothing changed on the winch other than I stuck it in the bumper and glued it in there. So the big change I did, or bigger change I should say, to the front end is to the hood. Let me show you. Get a fingernail in there. The hood does open. There is a hood prop rod I made that actually functions. And let's go on a little journey here. I don't know if the lighting is going to let me do it. There we go. I did put a motor in there. So it's got a big monster, let's say V8, V10, whatever your imagination chooses. I was going to deck out the inside with all kinds of little greeblies and whatnot to simulate an engine bay. But in the end, I said, why? Nobody's really going to look at it. I'm probably never going to open this thing again after this video. My intention was to leave this just empty, openable for pictures or if I wanted to, that kind of thing. And just have it empty for storage. But I ended up having that motor laying around, so I threw the motor in there. Works out great. Now, with putting the motor in there, I did have to eliminate the steering gear linkage, which is basically just a big bar that goes into a hole in the front suspension, and when you turn the wheel, it just slides and then the wheels turn. Yes, my wheels still turn. I could have kept that linkage in place, relocated the motor a little bit, 100% made it work, but I don't like the functionality of these wheels turning with the steering wheel inside, because if I have a figure holding that wheel, anytime I try and turn these, it's going to try and turn the figure, and you know their arms don't exactly turn very easy. So I thought that was kind of a pain in the butt if I actually want to have the guy holding the wheel. So these I can just turn whenever I want. Still function the same. Nothing was changed in there other than I just raised the body up off of them. The wheel still turns inside. I just don't have that linkage. I completely cut that linkage out of the steering wheel. Didn't modify anything to the driver because he's just going to sit in there forever somewhere. Maybe he'll be the trunk monkey because I'm not really digging that guy too much, but that's a story for another day. But that's basically it. No modification to the underside. All of these modifications took me, I would say, the better part of a week, week and a half-ish, only because I didn't have every single night to work on it. But I only got to put an hour, maybe an hour and a half per night into this. The hardest part literally was separating the bottom from the top. The middle just bolts to the bottom. These screws in here are redundant. They are not needed. I did not put them back in, and as you can see, it does not come off. So they're a little bit of an overkill, and if this thing's going to be used to be customized, hopefully versions down the road, should we get them, eliminate these two screws because they are a mother to get out. I spent a better part of just one night trying to do that before I got pissed and just said, screw it, I'm going to pull it apart, whatever breaks I can easily fix. Other than that, everything was just a little bit of cutting. I got special tools to cut this out. Those special tools are not hard to get. Everything else I just tried to reuse what I had laying around. I did have to glue the bumper back on because it no longer attaches properly with lowering the trunk floor, but it's literally hot glued on there. It's not going anywhere. Everything was super easy to do. Even cutting down the missile turret, super easy. It was 2 cuts and some glue, a little bit of filler and some paint. This, I'm just reusing it. It no longer pivots because I put the wire on there, but this antenna is removable. So if I want to put the 240 on there, I can easily do that. Not a problem. The wire will still be there, but you know, that's whatever. Yeah, that's basically it. I do have a tan one coming. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I got it because it was on sale. I may just have a city version, the tan one, you know, just keep it stock or whatever. This one's more of the QRF or something vehicle, or I don't know. I'm probably going to make a crew to go in there just because I got too many spare bodies laying around. Good way to use them up. That's basically it. I was going to do lights and sounds and all that stuff, but you know, once I put them in, I'll use them twice just to show people, and then I'll never use them again. So that's why I don't do a lot of LED work anymore, although it is super easy to do. That's about it, I guess. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and get to them as best I can. I have no secrets. If you want to know how I did something, ask me. I will tell you. I do this for funsies for me and to inspire people, so I hold that knowledge. Like I said, anybody can do this. It's super easy. Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks for watching.